Hey yo, fellas, we made men. Try to believe that within. I just wanna be a good man. Okay, I know you are, but tell me you a good man. Tell me you're a good man. So many men are being crushed. Societal demands to be tough. Yes, you are enough. Okay. I just wanna be a good man. I can't relate to you, brother, cause you're a good man. Yes, you are a good man. Listen, I'm right beside you, I'm right behind you. I know that life could be hard. That right? You're not a coward, you got the power for talking about your scars. No, you're not soft. Let me inspire you, empower you, because society may wanna see you fall. You got another brother to call. So many men are being crushed. Societal demands to be tough. Yes, you are enough. Don't bluff. Okay. I can't relate to you, brother, cause you're a good man. Yes, you are a good man. Hey, I'm here, my brother. You know I love you. Yes, you are enough. I just wanna be a good man. I can't relate to you, brother, cause you're a good man. Yes, you are a good man.
All right. You know what it is. This is Made Men Mondays. Welcome to the Made Men Project. This is your host, DB Empowers, your emotional responsive coach. And we are here with a positive self storyteller, Mr. Ryan Smith himself. Mr. Ryan Smith hosts a podcast, a positive self storyteller. I met this young man a few months back, man. He's doing incredible things in the world of mental health. And it's just not, designated to females, males, it's just mental health, period. Mental health is not gender specific, and he is there to help bridge the gap and make sure that we are giving this, the due attention that it deserves. So this is my man, Ryan Smith. Hey, how you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. Thanks, DB. Thanks for having me on here and return the favor, because you were on mine in my second one, right, and that's got so many listens, and I took so much away from that, and also my listeners did. So big up to you, man, doing this podcast and adding value and making awareness for this whole mental health movement. It's so important. Important.
Sir. Thank you, brother. Actually, Ryan is the one who taught me how to get my podcast onto Anchor and so I want you guys to know that when you're collaborating, when you're doing things with people, it don't always have to be a competition. It don't always have to be, a lot of people don't want to share things with you. And I hit this man up and asked him, hey, listen, I'm thinking about doing my podcast. How do I, do this and do that? And he was a wealth of information and knowledge, and he was going to help me get my stuff on all the podcast platforms. So Ryan, I truly appreciate you for that, brother. Not hoarding information, not wanting to share or help anybody out. This is bigger than just you and I, and I'm glad that you respect and understand that. And it's no competition. It can't be a competition in what we're doing. We have, it's all for one cause, and that's just to make sure people are better. Get people from where they are to where they need, desire, and deserve to be. So, man, I appreciate you, brother.
No. Again, the appreciation is all mine. Why would I hold it back? You got to think. The more people speak about it, the more people listen to it. There's more voices. I can reach a certain audience, and there's a certain audience I can't reach. Where you can reach a certain audience, and there's certain audience you can't reach.
Absolutely.
So more the merrier. And if anybody needs any help moving forward with anything, that's what this world's about. We've got to communicate, and we've got to help each other to raise the bar and get to where we think we should be, and that's greatness. So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, guys, you know what we're here to do, man, in the Made Men Project. We are dismantling society's false sense of masculinity. We are changing the male narrative. So, Ryan, to you, the first question I have for you, man, is as a boy, who and what was your example of a man?
So my example of a man was my dad. I grew up with, typical, my dad and my mom and my older brother. Mm-hmm. And my dad was quite traditional in the sense that, his father, my grandfather, was quite traditional. And then his father's father was extremely traditional. So, we're talking, the man's man, and there's a sort of, very disciplinarian. And then that sort of watered down ever so slightly as it became, into my dad. So it started quite, not bad, but it started quite, strict. And then eventually it started to get a bit watered down. So yeah, for me, growing up, my dad always worked hard. He never missed a day of work. He was always on the grind, but he was also quite angry at the system as well, and I think that's due to what his example of a father was. So there needs to be a generation that breaks that cycle.
Absolutely.
And now I'm a father, to a beautiful 4-year-old daughter. I'm blessed. I'm so blessed. I now look at what my father, how he raised me, and I think that there are some aspects that I want to take forward, but there's a lot of aspects I do not want to take forward.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm on this self-development path, and I'm always reflecting where my dad is something, unfortunately, he can't do.
Absolutely.
He just can't do it.
That's critical, man. And I like what you said about breaking that generational lock of what it means to be a man. So when you were a boy, though, what did being a man mean to you? When you thought about a man, like, what did that mean to you to say, I'm a man, I'm going to be a man? Like, what was that like for you?
So that's a good question. You know, like for me, my mother and my father divorced when I was 11 years old.
Right.
And shook up my family, massively shook up. So before my mother left, I didn't really get along with my dad. He was quite an angry individual at times. Yeah. And my mother used to say, if I leave, you're coming with me. And I was like, yeah, we're coming with. My brother's 3 years older than me. So like, we're going with. But then my mother had an affair, and that changed the game. So she was the good guy, then she became the bad guy.
Right.
And she did it in a really sort of cowardly kind of way, because she didn't really want to hurt me or my brother. Or my dad, and we then decided that we're sticking close with my dad, and now bond really reversed, and we became more friends than father and son.
What did that friendship look like? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut.
No, not at all. No, that was more of like just playing video games together and having that banter. And as I got older, I could get away with a little bit more, and then he started to relax into being this sort of free individual, finding his voice again, you know, finding his youth again, which was brilliant for him. You know, we really saw a different side to my dad.
Wow.
Now, me and my brother we're very similar, but we're totally different in our personalities. I'm extroverted. My brother's more introverted.
Okay.
And my dad is like my brother, or my brother's like my dad. They kind of look the same at that, you know, when around the same age. You know, when my dad was 40, he kind of looks like my brother now, and even younger again. But I was always a bit more, I wouldn't challenge. So I don't like confrontation. If I get into it, I get into it, but I do not like confrontation. Where my brother is so much like my dad, they would butt heads.
Right. Right.
You know, and I could see that. I could see that happening on a week-to-week sort of cycle. And I don't want that, you know, I didn't want that. So as much as you say, as I say that my dad was the vision, or what I saw as a man, even more so I'd say was my brother. Because I'm so close to my brother, it's ridiculous. He's my best friend, that's my boy, that's my man's. And he turned me on to so many things. Like, for example, since the age of 12, I've been playing basketball. And with that comes a lot of influential stuff. So we listen to hip hop, you know, we like certain comedies. My favorite type of music is R&B music. And we sort of fell into this sort of way of living. And a lot of the things that I like, and the way that I talk, and my values, and the way I treat my wife, it's very much stems from a system my brother distilled in me, you know. So as much as my dad raised me, I got to give mad credit to my brother, who also sort of raised me as well.
Man, that's deep. I don't know if you see me sitting here wiping my eyes, but I got tears in my eyes because of that bond that you have with your brother. That's the same bond that I had with my brothers. I'm the oldest of 3 boys, and you know, when mom wasn't there, when dad wasn't there, it was just me and my brothers. We had no choice but to be close. When you're talking about what you and your brother had, that takes me back to my childhood and how I had to be dad. I had to be the adult at times. I'm talking about at 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. I had to step into an adult's role and always protect my brothers, be there for my brothers, man. So I know what that bond is like, man, and with that when you had no one else, you guys always had each other, and that was huge. And I hear that coming out when you speak about your brother. That got me a little emotional, man. Still close.
Well, you know, it's authentic, and it's, you know, it's raw, and it's from the heart. Like, you know, I speak to my brother pretty much every day. and we're always talking smack about something, you know, talk about the NBA playoffs currently, and we're doing this, and we're talking, he called me today, and he's like, I was cracking iron, and I was just in the gym, and I was like, look what song came on. It was like the Lord Chief Rocker, and I was like, oh, that's the jam. Like, you know what I mean? We're like, so it was always these things that we always connected, you know. So
was he like your safe haven? Was he, when you had nothing else, when things got rough between mom and dad, was he your shelter?
Yeah, he kind of was. You know, I didn't really see it at the time, you know, but I always knew he was there. Like, always knew that my brother was there. You know, and a lot of I see as well is that when I say I'm extroverted, he's introverted.
Yeah.
And they always say when a quiet man talks, you better listen.
Yeah, yeah.
And when my brother spoke, I listened.
Right. That's
so I knew it was important.
Yeah,
you know,
right. Now someone's always running their mouth. See, I was the exact opposite. I'm always talking, but when I get quiet, it's a problem. Everybody knew if D is quiet, oh man, look out, it's a problem. But
exactly so, man. Yeah, I know. They say, what's the matter, Ryan? Nothing. I just want to be quiet. Like, you know, it's fine. I know.
Right. So, I know you told me a little bit about it already. You know, you had a divorce. You seen your dad coming up. He was the rock. He wasn't truly. He didn't say a lot, but he carried a lot of emotions. But
very emotional, by the way. Extremely emotional. Like heart on the sleeve. Like he's crying all the time, and that made me realize that men, you know, if we're trying to break that mold, it's okay to cry. And he is exceptionally emotional, like over the smallest of things to the biggest of things.
Oh wow!
So then that distilled in me then that I'm an empath. Like I'm feeling everything, you know. I'm taking it all in, and I'm just like, let's just go. If I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna cry. I don't care.
That's great. That's great. So, what made you the man you are today? As far as tell me your story. I know we talked about the divorce, we talked about the things going on, but what got you to the positive self storyteller? What got you to this big rush with mental health, this big push with mental health awareness? What got you here?
Okay, I hope you got a bit of a long time because I'm about to get into it. Here we go.
Get into it, brother. Yeah.
Okay. So when I was 15 years old, I met an individual who was a friend of the family, friend of my brother's, friend of my dad's. He was a friend of my next door neighbors, first of all, foremost, and then we sort of got together and we just started mingling, you know, and things developed. And I became quite friendly with him. Again, you know, I sort of saw him as this, I kind of admired him, actually, because he was kind of a cool individual, you know, like little things, like stupid things when you're a kid, like he could walk on his hands. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I want to do that. And, you know, you know what it's like. So we became friends, and then he took it to a place that became really uncomfortable to the point where he would start to impose himself in a really uneasy, awkward kind of way. You know, I would go around his house sometime, and one time I remember, and he said to me, just come in the bathroom quickly, I'm just in here. So I popped myself in, and he's getting out the bath. And I'm like, whoa, okay, that's, you know, this is a no-go, this is a no-go. And this then progressed, and this became a bit more and a bit more, to the point where he turned to me one day, so we're going to go, so he then, what's the word I'm trying to say? He then, on purpose, made a point to expose himself to me, and I lost my shit. I remember in the car with him, and he said, "Oh, you know, look at this," and he flashed, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Sorry, my language, man. And I was like, "This is a no. This is no." And I remember I was so emotional. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, this is a really close friend. I admire this guy. And he then takes it to this level that, you know, I'm 15, 16. I'm going through puberty. I'm going through a lot of changes. I'm becoming more of a man. And then I get this thrown at me. Yeah. My brother's also away now. He's living off in university. He's gone up, you know, a couple of 100 miles up the UK. So, and my dad's entered I was starting to, you know, get out there and enter new relationships or whatever. So there's a lot of change happening.
Yeah.
So then he turns to me and tells me that he wants to get into a relationship with me and that he loves me. And everything that he's done up until this point is a grooming phase. So he was physically grooming me to be something that I had no knowledge of, and I was unaware of it, and I had no intention of doing anything at all. but I was made to feel like it was my fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was made to feel that I give him all this impression, I give him all these lead-ons, all these things that, you know, oh, I read it wrong, I read the situation wrong. And I was like, what the fuck, what situation do you read wrong? Because I'm in the same situation. You know, I don't know what situation you're talking about, but that is not the situation
Right,
I
that's
laid on
not
the table.
right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So as time went on, he faded in my life. So which was good for me, and I buried that deep, real deep.
Mm.
So I'm going through high school into college, you know, just usual stuff, and then, you know, into university. And this is with me. I tell a few friends and a few girlfriends, not to the extent because I just need to get some of this off my chest.
Yeah.
You know, and I also I sort of started to have this sexual confusion at times. I didn't know whether I was gay.
Yeah.
Because I felt so strong that this was my fault. And wait, now, is this me? Is this like,
Right.
is this
Right.
the route I'm going to go down? So we move on till I'm 30, so 15 years on, and I meet my wife, who's my wife now, my queen, my everything.
Right. Right.
And I moved away with her to Scotland on a job, and I met this guy just playing basketball, just, you know, because whenever I go to a new city or a new job, first thing I do, I gotta find a court. You know, I gotta play. So I met this guy and we're playing, and we go to a gym after it, and we hit the spa and the sauna and the steam room, whatever. So I come back home and I said, "Oh, I'm having a good day, blah blah." And she said something. I can't remember what she said, but it sparked something in me that made me realize, ah, shit, I have not dealt with my trauma from when I was 15. It took me back to when I was 15, and I had all this anxiety just rush. And I just broke down crying. I don't know what it was, and I just couldn't stop. I just had to release. And from then I got counseling. So I seek counseling because I didn't know what I was experiencing.
Yeah.
You know, I was telling, but then I moved, so I had to change counselor. I moved to London, and I went to counseling again for 9 months. Every Wednesday. It was called Survivors UK, for males who have been emotionally, physically, or sexually abused.
Right.
And that there was my saving grace. Like, it's not, counseling's not for everybody, but for me, that changed my life. That gave me so much perspective. I remember going after work, and, you know, we'd have an hour sessions. Some would be easy. Most of them would be extremely hard. I'd leave that place. I go to a bar, I take a drink, go back to my wife, and I cry myself to sleep because I had nothing. I gave everything. I had nothing else to give, and that was so unfair. I remember telling my wife, I met her 3 years in. We get engaged, and I remember telling her that I think I'm gay. And her face to say to me, "Am I not enough for you then?" I remember that now, and it haunts me. It just haunts me, and I just couldn't. Now even I think to myself, damn, like, she's a remarkable woman, and she stuck with me, knowing that is not who I am.
What was your thought process at that time when you said that to her?
I had to get it off my chest. And this is the problem, mental health. People do not talk. They are afraid of the reaction when they hear it, and they are even more afraid of them hearing themselves out loud.
Yeah.
And if you do not release it, it will tear you up from the inside out. It will destroy you to the point where you will be having suicidal thoughts. You know, you're not going to be living your best life. You'll be doing some crazy things. You won't recognize who you are. So I had to get off my chest, and I know it was kind of comes across quite selfish, because I'm delivering all this pain and all this trauma to my wife, and then she's like, "Okay, now I'm taking this on. Who have I got to talk to about it?"
Wow.
So it's like the person needs caring is now killing the carer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
had a lot of baggage on her. And yeah.
Let me tell you, the amount that I put that woman through, I'm blessed. I'm so blessed. And I don't take it for granted either. That's one thing I do not take my wife for granted at all, you know. And I remember everything I said. remember everything I did. But the one thing behind this, and I've learned this now, is that I wasn't strong enough to deal with it at the time. And until I found the one I'm supposed to be with, my true strength, then my unconscious told me, now you've got to deal with it. Now you're strong enough to deal with it. And that's why I dealt with it.
That backbone, yeah.
Yeah.
Your woman, and the reason why I'm sitting there shaking my head, because I can relate. I can relate. So like everything you're saying, from going back from with your brother and to where you are now with your lady, I did not get to this place I'm at now until I got with the lady that I'm with at this point in my life. And everything I've been through, everything that I have endured and done, the bad choices I made, everything I did prepared me to meet her. And she was able to see the holes inside and fill them without judgment. I was able to be me without fear, without being looked like I'm less than a man. I didn't have to try to prove how much of a man I am. She seen through me. And for the first time, I allowed that. I didn't fight it. And I was able to openly acknowledge my shortcomings, my flaws, the things that I've been through. And it was because of her why I went and got therapy. It was because of her why I'm on this path that I'm on now. So, brother, I get it, man. I get exactly what you're saying, man.
Yeah, well, hats off to you too, man, for going through it and finding that strength within you too. And you know what you're showing them now? Because I look at it and saying that she's now seeing what a real man should be like.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
because she like, I don't want to go into her shit, that's her shit, but you know, her father was alcoholic, or is alcoholic.
Yeah.
So she didn't have the greatest of upbringings with men as well. So now she's getting with a man, and you know, I got to be the best person, the best version I can be, you know, for her and for myself. And so I go to counseling, and that goes well, and I start to learn, and I start to breathe, and I start to just live a little bit of a better life. And my daughter was born 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago. She turns 4 in 2 weeks' time. And I've won like brilliant experience, but it reared its head again. So my trauma at 15 reared its head again after so many years. And it led me to develop postnatal depression and OCD postnatal depression. So I couldn't stop thinking about intrusive thoughts about my daughter. And let me tell you something, I would go through everything again when I was 15 to not go through what I went through when my daughter was born. I would go through all that pain and all that heartache again to know that I will not suffer with postnatal depression. And I wrote this down because I got to try and verbalize it without giving too much. So the reason why I was having postnatal depression is because I was growing intrusive thoughts about my daughter. These thoughts stem from my trauma when I was a younger self, and it spilled out, and it was having a negative effect on me. And when you have trauma, you don't recognize yourself. I didn't recognize my feelings and my actions as a father or as a husband. And that haunts me every day as well. And this is why I'm on this route now. I went to the doctors and he said, you've got postnatal depression and maybe you should go on anxiety with it. So you need to take this medication. Okay, fine. I didn't know anything about it. And so I took it. And you maybe try mindfulness. There's an app called Headspace. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah.
Let me tell you again. So I wanted to walk out to my family. I remember one time they were sleeping on the couch downstairs and I went and got my bags packed because I thought they would be better off without me moving forward in their life. And I was going to go. I also had thoughts of suicide, thinking that I can't get through this. This will never end. This is the worst experience of my life. I brought my daughter into this world and I have to now act, feel, think a certain way. This is just, it broke me. It just ripped me apart. I didn't recognize myself. I was developing characteristics that I'd never even developed, you know, and I didn't know what to do. I was so lost. Again, emotional, angry.
Yeah.
But it was something in me that I had no choice but to fix my shit. I have to. There's no choice. There is no choice whatsoever. I got a daughter just across that, behind me in that wall, who deserves the best father that she can get, and that's going to be me. And there's no choice. I haven't got it. No, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Absolutely.
So I did mindfulness every day, and I still do it every day for 10 minutes, and I just regroup and I go through these steps. I can do it now. I did it the other day. I stopped in the hallway and I just went into this mindfulness state of mind, and I go through my same routine, and it brings me back down and it calms me. And I realize this today, that my failure as a father back then is so outweighed by the value I'm going to give her moving forward in life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's wonderful, man. I love that mindset. I love the mindfulness that you're doing, man, because at the end of the day, man, when it comes down to all about a shift in our mindset, man, and the choices we make. And you're making the choices every day to work on you, to do better, to be better, and to have better, not just for you, but for your family. And to me, that is part of what makes a man a man. That's part of what makes, excuse me, let me rephrase that. That's part of what makes a male a man. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, we can get into, I try not to, you know, get really deep into definitions of what a man is. But I do know what a man isn't. And it's not about being tough. It's not about hiding your feelings. It's not about, you know, trying to act like you're not bothered, or you can't be vulnerable. You can't show no internal hurt and pain. We have to feel our feelings without allowing our feelings to dictate our behaviors, brother. And I'm glad that you was able to do that. When it comes to your feelings, what was hard for you? What was harder? Was it identifying what you feel or expressing what you feel, or both?
Accepting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was acceptance. It was accepting that I was going through this. It was accepting that, okay, I am thinking this way, but I can't be the only one in the world who's thinking this way. I'm not the only one with postnatal depression. I can't be the first man, the first father to ever have postnatal depression. And even to this day, I tell people that I had it, and then people say, oh, I didn't know males could get it.
So, to be honest with you, that's the same thing I thought when you said it. I'm like, oh, wow, that's deep. I didn't know that males get that. Yeah.
Because like you say, and what the whole reason for this podcast is, that the whole state of mind of what a man should look like, you know, because we don't carry our child, we haven't got this physical connection. But let me tell you, the mind and the emotion is as strong as connection as the physical connection. Like my wife didn't, she might, you know, she said she didn't, you know, experience it or whatever, but I tell you I did, and it was a hard fight. It's a fight I'm still going through today. But let me tell you the reason why is because she is my why. She is my reason. She is my driving force. Both of them, both women in my life are the reason why I get up early. I say my morning mantra. I do the things that I do every day. I got to keep moving the needle forward in my life. I have to. There's no choice. There's no choice. I'm not going back. There's no way I'm going back.
But see, what stands out to me the most, and what I get from that, what I'm so proud about and so happy and grateful that you're in this place, is you're putting in the work every day. You were choosing to do the work every day to continue to move forward. And that's the big piece that a lot of men miss. That it's not that you're going to be absent of overwhelming thoughts or feelings. It's not that you're never going to have some bad thoughts, some bad feelings, some, you know, it's not that we're never going to deal with stress. It's not that we're going to be absent of that. It's not about that. It's about how to better respond to it, how to turn down the volume on them intrusive thoughts, how to turn down the volume on them overwhelming thoughts and feelings, and turn up the volume on what you do. And that requires work every single day. But see, that's hard to do. That consistency, that taking that massive action. See, it's a formula that I use in my coaching program. And it's called, you know, you have to acknowledge what it is and what it isn't, accept what it is and what it isn't, actually what you can't change, but what you can change and what you can do, express where you're at with things, and then take massive action. And that's what you're doing every day, brother. And I salute you, man, because it's not easy. Believe me, I know there's times I got up at 4 a.m. to work on me, and I'm sitting here with tears in my eyes, bro, crying because it was so hard, because I was being challenged. I was bumping up against my comfort zone every day, trying to go against what I'm used to doing for the last 20-something years and trying to change that. And then what happens is, because it's not changing immediately, we give up or we quit or we revert back to that old familiar hell, because we're so uncomfortable. Because we're so uncomfortable with trying to be the new you. So you revert back to what's familiar and what's comfortable, and that's a prison.
Oh, you speak so much truth, man. Like seriously, you just said then about, you know, we're not staying long enough in our new you, you know, our new us, so we revert back.
Yeah.
And I obviously, you know, and I know, you know, the hip hop preacher Eric Thomas.
Yeah.
And he had an analogy that I think was brilliant. It's about a sniper versus a shooter. I don't know if you've heard this analogy.
Yeah.
So a shooter, you know, anybody can get a gun and shoot and just rack off, you know. But then a sniper stays in the same spot for 3 days and stays.
Right.
Everybody is shooting, hoping to hit.
Yeah.
But no one is staying put. No one is staying with something.
Yeah.
And yet you've got to stay with it. And anybody can be negative. It's easy to be negative. There's so much in the world out there. There's so much out there in the world to be negative about. But there's also so much positive in the world. But it takes a lot of effort to remain and to see it. That's why I don't watch the news. I don't watch the news anymore. I'm not ignorant. I know what's going on. I know that, you know, the players, and I know what's, you know, the major pandemic and so on and so forth. But I don't sit there and watch the news, because when was the last time I left the news feeling good?
Right. Brother, I stopped watching the news in 2010. I lie to you not. I haven't watched the news since 2010. But you said something, you know, speaking of Eric Thomas, man, he has a quote, and I actually have it up on my wall. And this was something that was major to me. Don't make a habit out of doing what feels good versus what is good for you. In a lot of my life, I made choices based on pleasure, based on what felt good, based on comfortability, based on, you know, I'm okay, this feels good. Now I'm making choices based on what's good for me. And Ryan, it doesn't always feel good, brother. And you know this. No. It doesn't. No. Doing what's good for you does not always feel good. And that's what you got to get past.
Let me tell you, you know, so when I told you when I was doing, on the point that you're making about what you're doing doesn't always feel good for you. So I remember crying because I couldn't get out of my own head.
Yeah.
And I was when I was going through my postnatal depression.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, it was time to do my meditation, or my mindfulness, I should call it, really, because it's not meditation.
Yeah.
And I was holding my child, sitting in the armchair, crying, going through my steps, because I had to embrace my fear.
Yes.
To get through my fear. My fear was my child. I didn't want to be close to her.
Yeah.
But that is not a choice. She doesn't deserve that. She deserves a father to be close and to embrace her and to hold her and love her. And that's the person I'm going to be. That's the man I'm going to be. I am going to be the example of what a man should be for her.
Speaking of that, that's first of all, that's great. So now that you're older, how has your definition of a man changed? What is a man to you? Yeah.
So for me, my definition of a man, and it's not for everybody, but first and foremost, you got to be respectful. Like, you got to be respectful of the people that you love and the people who came before you. Because they paved the way for the world today. You know, there's a lot of people who go through life currently who have this self-proclaimed self-entitlement. They just think that they handed things because of the climate, the stature, the parents, whatever. That's not how the world works, unfortunately. You've got to be on the ground. You've got to work hard. You've got to stay in the pocket, you know? So for me as a man, you've got to have respect for the people who came before you, for the loved ones, that are around you, you also have got to treat, for me, like, because they're my driving force, I got to treat my women like they're my everything, because they deserve everything. You know, the women in this world, for me, they just deserve to be treated, you know, like the queens that they are, you know.
Absolutely.
And that's what I want to do. And I also want to be able to be loyal to my family, be honest with my family, be truthful, and to my friends as well. But more so as well is that I want to be able to self-reflect. I want to take a look on my life continuously and say, what is it that I need to do to become better every day? How do I become a better version of myself every day so the people around me reap those benefits as well? If I'm staying in the same place, I'm doing the same thing, I'm going to get the same results. I don't want the same results.
Absolutely. Tell you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I have to, and if I don't, at least I can say I tried.
Absolutely.
At least that people can see that I didn't sit back and just accept that I'm just going through the movements. I want to be challenged. I want to go through hard times to experience the good that's on the other side.
Absolutely, brother. So, real quick, what's one piece of advice you would give men today regarding masculinity?
Do not be afraid to share your feelings, regardless of how you feel. Do not be afraid to share, because once it's out there, it's out there. Because once it's out there, then you can start to find a solution for that problem. People can't help you otherwise. You're going to keep that inside you. You're going to, like I said earlier on, it's going to eat you from the inside out. And how do you expect to grow? How do you expect to grow as an individual if you have this darkness inside you? But remember, darkness doesn't exist without light, and light doesn't exist without dark. They just don't. They come together. So you're going to have to go through shit to get to the good. It's just the way the world works. It's going to have to happen.
Absolutely.
If you don't fail at something, you have never learned anything new.
What you're saying, man, is very similar to something I say all the time regarding the truth. And, you know, I tell men all the time, you know, my biggest thing, I need to get him out that river in Egypt called denial, you know. And like I tell them all the time, yes, the truth hurts, but the truth is the truth. And once you know the truth, you could do something with the truth. So we have to get the truth. If you're feeling a certain type of way, speak on it. Say it in a way that, you know, allows it so the message doesn't get lost in the delivery, but find ways to effectively communicate what you are feeling. There's nothing wrong with that.
And that's, you know, that's where I'm on this sort of this thing now. I want to be able to communicate my stories and share my experiences and add value to people. So if there are others suffering with a mental health, you know, condition that can relate to what I went through, then they know, and they can take some, you know, they can take some ease in knowing that there are other people out there who've experienced it but have come out the other side.
Brother, that is amazing, and that actually segues into the last question. So, what legacy are you leaving in this world?
Oh God. What legacy am I leaving in this world? I want to be able to leave a legacy for people to realize that you shouldn't be ashamed of who you are. You shouldn't be ashamed of what you went through, because like you said, you know, your trauma does not define you, and that what did I say that you say? You're not your trauma, and your trauma doesn't define you. Is that right?
You are not what happened to you. What happened to you wasn't your fault. Yeah.
Yes, exactly that. Exactly that. You know, I want my daughter to realize that she can go through anything, and she can then distill that into her family, and then distill that into their family, to know that no matter what is thrown at you, you can get through it. And if you want something bad enough in life, then go and get it, regardless of your environment, your friends, your family, how you grew up. There's always a way to get out and find it. And you know, I didn't have the worst childhood. Like I had an okay childhood, And there's people out there who have had a really tough time, and they've been raised through the system. They with no parents. Like my cousin lost both parents by the time he was 16. Lost his mother when he was 14 and his dad when he was 16. And and I compare and I think, okay, my childhood, whatever. But if it's all about a choice, that's one thing I realized, Derek, is that you either want it or you don't want it. And if you want it bad enough, you will find a way. You will find a way. And if you don't find a way, then maybe you didn't want it bad enough.
Hey Ryan, I agree with you wholeheartedly. When I say these things are not popular, because what it does, it takes ownership off of the circumstances and the events that happen to people, and it puts the ownership back on that person. Because let's be honest, it's not about the event or the circumstances that determine your outcome. Yes, tough things happen. People go through some very horrific things in their lives. What I feel, what I believe, what I know, though, is that it's not about the event or the circumstance that happens. It's about how you respond to it. That's what determines the outcome. And if you complain about something, that means you know that it can be better, that you have an expectation for it to be better, but you're not willing to do what is required to make it better. So that's why you complain. By complaining, that's allowing you to blame. That's allowing you to blame others and everything else around you instead of you, for you not doing what it takes to change your outcome.
Because people don't want to take accountability. They want to take accountability for the good things, but they want to take accountability for the bad things. And they don't want to hear it. So like I said to you earlier on, they do not want to hear the possibility of like, for me, for example, I got to tell my wife that I'm having intrusive thoughts about my daughter. How am I ever going to tell her that? Like, she should have run, and she was going to run for the hills. She was thinking, okay, maybe I should take my daughter out of this environment. But then she realizes that that's not the man I am. That's not the character that I have. It's something other. It's this. It's your mind. It's a dark. It's a terrible place at times. And you listen and you feed it, and it grows, and it gets worse, and it gets worse, and it gets worse. So do not feed it.
Yeah, she's seeing you, the real you, at a time you couldn't even see yourself. Wow.
Oh, let me tell you.
Wow.
Let me tell you that much.
Wow, brother. Listen to me.
I
I salute you. You got an amazing woman. You got an amazing child. I love where you're at. I love how transparent you were and how you were speaking on some of the deep, dark places you were at mentally and emotionally, because this is about changing the narrative. This is breaking down society's false sense of masculinity. We deal with things, and the only way that we're going to overcome them, the only way we're going to beat this, is to talk about it, to not suffer in silence, but to go through, because you're not the only one.
No, you're not the only one. Communication is key. Like you say, you got to talk about it, and you are not the only one. There's so many people going through this, but they haven't the strength to go through it, and they may not have the strength right now. And like I didn't have it for X amount of years, But if you can find it within you, then just get it out there. Just put it out there for someone to listen to.
Man, absolutely. Ryan, listen, man, I truly appreciate you being on. This was a powerful interview. I love your transparency. I love the openness. I love how real you are. Let everybody know where they can reach you at. Speak about your podcast real quick, the Positive Self Storyteller, and speak about what you got going on. Let people know where they can find you at.
Of course, yeah. So my name is Ryan Smith. You can find me on many social platforms, but you just type in Positive Self Storyteller. You can just Google search that. I'm on Facebook. I got a page. My podcast is, on multiple platforms. I'm IG, LinkedIn, Twitter. So yeah, just Positive Self Storyteller. That's me, and you can get me on that. So
you want to talk about what you got coming up for the mental health awareness?
Yeah, most definitely. Thanks for that's cool. So on the 10th of October is World Mental Health Day, and on the 8th of that, I'm going to do a podcast where I'm going to bring back a lot of my more influential guests, DB being one of them, if he can make it. And we're going to have a talk, and we're going to have a bit of a, storytellers of the round table, I want to try and call it, so we all sit down and we just express, we talk about how, especially I think it's going to be based, I think the theme might be COVID this year, because I always have a theme every year. So how that's affected us and how all of us have been through a mental health issue or problem, but now how we're trying to solve it every day for others, and also make sure that we're solving our own as well.
You said that's on the 8th, right? I'm just putting it on the calendar right now.
Yeah, 8th. I know we're on a different time scale too, so I'm trying to make it work.
Just let me know the time, but I just want to get it marked on, and I'm gonna block it off so that I have it, so I don't schedule anything else around it. Once you get the time, that'd be good. Listen, Ryan, I really appreciate you, man. Go check out my boy Ryan Smith at the Positive Self Storyteller. He's doing some great, amazing things in the world of mental health. He's very transparent. He's there to help you. He has some major events going on, so make sure you guys check him out. Ryan, I appreciate you, brother. You take care. We'll definitely connect on some more things and collaborate, man. So, hey, man, you have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and you keep doing what you're doing, brother. I salute you.
Thank you ever so much, Derek. Take care of yourself.
All right, you too, brother.
Yeah.
All right, now.
Thanks.